video assistant referee since its inception in 2018 for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. It started with very few controversies that were actually attributed with it. We had a few flaws in the World Cup. After the World Cup, we had some teams, some leagues started to implement it. The German league started, the Spanish league took over. The Premier League, as we know them to be as controversial as they are, they decided to pilot it. At first, when it was implemented, they don't even allow the referee to go and watch. That is, he actually listens to whatever the VAR team would tell him and he implements it. There were a lot of issues with it. Then it was transitioned into when the referee had to go and watch. But if you compare the VAR in the English Premier League and the other leagues, you realize that they've had majority. And in fact, from last year to this year, they've had about 18 apologies from the PGMOL. And it's been one too many times. So I think we are here to talk about VAR in retrospective. It is something that has really come to add a lot of controversies, or it's been able to eliminate a lot of the ambiguous decisions that have been taken, those that the clear-cut human eye would not be able to distinguish, or it has rather thrown more controversies and has denied teams the points and the wins and the draws that they actually deserve.
Well, I think that when the VAR was first introduced, I held the opinion, and I still hold the opinion today, that the VAR will become a den for criminals. And I don't know why you're excited, Percy, but I mean, clearly,
I remember
the
that.
VAR has become a den for criminals. It's become the comfort zone of armed robbers, people who want to mar the beauty of the game. And we are waking up to news. We woke up to news yesterday that Klopp wants a replay. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, yes, he has the temerity to order for a replay because he feels that there's been a technology that has been introduced in football to make the game right, to make do with the best of decisions. Because what happens is that the referees have the options and the help to go back and fall on frames, on images, on movements, so that they can make the best decision. So why do we wake up and then there are issues surrounding clearly, properly scored goals? You understand? I think that as I stand here, or I sit here this afternoon, the issues with the VAR, particularly in the context of our conversation in England, the issues with the VAR have made the game go back. I do not think that they have added a lot of accuracy to the game. I think that even in the absence of VAR, the game was better managed and better officiated than it is today, because the issues with the VAR are one too many. And you see, I do not believe that every now and then issuing an apology for the PGMOL is something that should be the case. You understand? Because when you have a technology that is clearly been made to correct, and in the words of VAR, the VAR was supposed to make football decision right by 99.1%.
Yeah, that was what.
So if you are dealing with just a small percentage of 0.09, why do you have all of these issues constantly springing up and then marring the beauty of the game? As I sit here right now, I don't think that VAR has been a blessing to the game in the context of English football. I think that it's been a big curse, and it's been a den on which criminals have ridden, and I probably would have to allege, ridden and made a lot of money out of them.
I think this is one statement that I wouldn't bet to differ, because I don't want to assert to the fact that VAR in general, I want to narrow it down to the Premier League especially, because if you take the German league, you take the Spanish league, even in the UEFA Champions League, we hardly get issues like, you see, like I said, the English will always want to try to make theirs different and add a little to it. See, if you're comparing the VAR, you can bring something like the NFL, or maybe the basketball. If there are issues, one thing that I expected them to have brought was the conversations that go on. You see, with the NFL, You realize that maybe if there is a foul, the referee, the umpire raises up the hand, explains the whole stadium, they are aware, the coaches are aware. So you hardly hear issues of protests and the rest. But I was just listening to the conversations behind for the Liverpool game. And the funny thing that the referee said was that when the goal, as Luis Diaz scored, the linesman raised up the flag. And when he raised up the flag, usually, if it is supposed to be an offside, you realize that the screen will write checking, VAR checking, possible offside. But there was nothing like that. And imagine what the VAR official said. He thought that the coach had taken a goal.
The
referee had taken a goal. So as a result of that, he was like, okay, check complete. That was what he said, check complete. But there was nothing on the screen. But the moment the referee makes the players kick the ball, he can't bring it back.
Exactly.
So he said that when he kicked the ball, then he realized, oh, he's made a mistake. I was like, no, this is laughable. Because if it is an offside, it will be shown on the screen, ample time will be given. But there was nothing like that. And you are like, oh, they kicked the ball, and you are like, oh, I've made a mistake. So I think, and you realize that this is something, like I said, 18 complaints in a space of 2 years. That is too many. Because even before VAR, we all understand that it is one of the things that make football or sport entertaining is the human factor.
Yeah.
That is one thing that we can never take. Imagine Luis Diaz scored. Okay, let's take a goal like Haaland's goal. A beautiful goal he scored in the Champions League. He goes to celebrate all the euphoria around. Then VAR check. Oh, it was an offside. Then okay, we are supposed to now come back to normal and restart. I am not saying that we should accept to the fact that there should be so many errors, but errors is what makes the game beautiful.
Yeah.
See, one of the reasons why we talk about Maradona is the fact that he scored a goal that is supposed to be disallowed.
Yeah,
imagine that factor was taken. The whole 1986 fast, I don't think it would have been blown out of proportion like it is. But there was an offside goal. If you take the 1966 World Cup final, Germany scored a goal. In fact, the ball actually hit the bar and went behind the post, and it was not taken. And England was able to equalize. Geoff Hurst scored the hat-trick, and Bobby Charlton also scored. And till date, that controversy was what sparked the rivalry between England and Germany.
And then Lampard also scored a
So
goal.
fast forward,
Yeah.
40 years later, Lampard scores a goal. In fact, that could have been his only goal in the World Cup. And it was, you see, all of these controversies would have made the whole thing fun. But I think let me just ask.
Sure, Garnacho would have scored the winning goal against Arsenal.
Imagine in the heat of the moment.
And then Garnacho didn't be under pressure today. I mean, so I would very much agree with you, because I think that you can never take the human factor away. If you take the human factor away from football, you are making it almost automatic. You are making
in basketball that there is everything that is brought in. There are a few things that they are let's go.
Yeah.
It's more or less like they are trying to make every aspect of officiating 100%, which is not possible. Even with the semi-automatic offside, there are still a lot of issues. You take the Sheffield United and Aston Villa match in the post-COVID. That match that could have actually landed them in top 4, and there was a Hawkeye defect, and the goal was not taken. They almost went on relegation.
Well, I think Lucky has a lot of issues regards the VAR, and then I would want to invite him into the conversation. Lucky would want to come into the conversation, and then we'll round up quickly.
I'm sure he would be talking about the fact that VAR has added a lot. We are not saying it has not added a lot, but we are talking about the controversies.
Percy, I think that's true, but we need to point out, I think you guys have already said it, the problem is not with the VAR. The problem is the implementation
and the
interpretation of it, because if you look at how FIFA interprets or more or less uses the VAR, if you look at how UEFA uses the VAR, it's totally different from how the Premier League, even in Germany, their interpretation is totally different. And this is something that I think that we need to put into context. The VAR has just about 4 remits to which they can operate. One, whether a goal is a goal or not, a mistaken identity in terms of red card or yellow card, penalty, an incident that probably may have led to a penalty or an infringement or not, and an offside situation. So outside these four remit, the VAR cannot intervene. Then again, if you look at the setup of the VAR and the rules governing it, the officials. So let me take us to the article here. Now, this is according to FIFA. Now, this is what FIFA says. The referee is the only person who can make the final decision. The VAR, that is the video assistant referees, have the same status as other match officials and can only assist the referee. So those in the VAR room are literally just like the linesmen.
Yeah.
They have the same status as other assistant referees.
They are helping
They
the
are
referees
there to help
make
the referee
correct
make
decisions.
the right decision. And whatever the decision the referee makes should be the final decision. Now, there's something important here that I feel the EPL, either they are ignoring or they are turning a blind eye to intentionally. This is what the rule is saying in terms of a check. Now, when a VAR spots an incident, the VAR considers all the angles, looks at all the incidents, then prompts the referee to go to the screen to check if he will still stand by his decision or not. Period. So,
but then there's also the conversation about the clear and obvious error.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I think
something that could have happened in the blind side of the referee.
Let's put that into perspective. The VAR only operates within another remit of it should be clear and obvious.
Yeah.
If there is doubt, you stay back and allow the referee to use his discretion. But if you look at most of the incidences we've seen in the EPL, it's not really clear and obvious, especially with offside decisions and all of that. So the VAR would have to conjure some lines, try to put some lines where the lines do not need to be. But the goal is just prompt a referee. Oh, referee, I think here you took a goal, but based on the angles we've seen, I think you should check and see. The referee will go to the screen. They will show him all the angles. The referee will decide whether to stick by his decision or to go with the VAR. If he sticks by his decision, the VAR cannot say no. But what we see in the EPL is that somebody somewhere in a room, the referee will say it's a goal. Somewhere in another room, they will come back, give us some lines, and they will say no goal. Then the referee will say, according to the VAR, no goal. That is totally wrong.
No, but
so
I
for
think
me,
that is right.
No,
that is right.
No, the VAR should not decide for you. The referee is supposed to go and see for himself. Because in most instances, we see lines being drawn on the screen. The referee is not seeing. Then it's just communication based on whatever they have seen and they think. Referee, this is offside. Then the referee will say, based on the VAR, it's offside.
No, but I think that in that particular context, we need to be fair to the referees in the sense that with the human eye, you do not see all of the angles the people in the VAR room are seeing. So if they have drawn clearly the lines that should put a player hypothetically in the offside rule, the referee has no obligation than to go with them.
That is why the referee needs to see the lines for himself.
He will not see it with his naked eyes.
In terms of the screen.
No, but
the on-field screen.
But when the decisions are made, the lines that are drawn to our screens at home,
we see it, but the referees don't see it.
They see it on the screens in the stadium.
No, what you see in there is just one or two. You know, according to the VAR, there are about 8 angles that the VAR produces. What you see in there, I don't know if you've realized, in most instances, the VAR shows you about 2 angles. Some angle, it looks like it is an offside. Another angle, it looks like, no, this is not an offside. I've seen a plethora of incidences. Arsenal and Manchester United, they showed us one angle. It clearly looked like Garnacho was onside, and that goal should have stood. Then again, they showed us another angle which looked like no, this is an offside. But no, they're supposed to show us all the angles, all the 8 angles the cameras are supposed to capture. So for me, if you look at again the procedures of the VAR and the remit with which it's supposed to operate, you are just an assistant referee. This is what you think. You give the referee the opportunity to either stick by his decision to say, okay, based on what I have seen, based on the commendation or recommendation of the VAR, I think that no, I'll reverse my decision. This is not a goal. This is not an offside.
End of
But
story.
in the EPL, time and time again, somebody somewhere would rather enforce his decision. And if you listen to the audio, and was it the United? I think the Liverpool is the second audio. I don't know about the first audio. I've forgotten the team. They produced an audio which looks like the guy with the loudest voice in the room.
It's the United game.
The
United game, the about Wan-Bissaka's the
one
penalty.
the penalty. The guy
person
with
who
the
talks loudest.
the loudest voice
Is
in the
the-
room.
is the
His
one-
decision goes, which is totally wrong. They've ignored the rules, and it's seemingly they are doing things outside the laws that have been set. And for me, I do not blame anybody, Kofi. I blame the Premiership, the English FA, for their interpretation of the rules, because if they had interpreted the rules according to how FIFA thought that this would improve the game, we will not be having some of these issues. How many times have you heard
German.
or seen German league, even the Italian league, the Spanish league, even UEFA instances where people are crying foul? So Kofi, for me, I don't think it will stop. You know how stubborn your people are. These English
Of
people.
course, they will tell
not
you
stop
they
today.
brought football.
They will not stop today. And for my Liverpool fans, if Virgil van Dijk can tell a reporter, who cares? We're also telling them, who cares?
You think they should be given a play
Oh,
the replay?
that's outside the rules. Nothing in the rules states that if the VAR makes a mistake,
They have stated
then-
the law. I mean,
then-
Article 11,
please,
clause 2.
then
Article 11, clause 2.
will request for
Sheffield almost went
Wolves
on
will request
relegation.
for a replay against United. United can request for a replay against Arsenal, because all those were not clear and obvious decisions that the VAR should take. I think the Liverpool fans are crying wolf.
Well, I think that
They are
we
telling us
leave,
that
we
they
leave,
will bring
we
revolution.
I think we leave the conversation here. We leave it for you at home. As always, you can comment, like, share. If you've not subscribed to Sports 101, just go to our YouTube page and then subscribe to Sports 101. We are shooting live from
Shocks Hub at the Tack Riding Mall. Amazing place to be. I mean, you can come Monday to Friday and even
Monday to
weekend.
Sunday, yeah.
Monday to Sunday, Saturday. This Sunday, we'll probably come here and watch the game. So if you are in Tack Riding, just come join the Sports 101 team at Shocks. Let's have fun together. It's an amazing place, Kofi.